Being a tenure track or tenure professor is like no other job in the world. And that's why career services can't be your main starting point if you're an academic leader who wants to increase your PhD students' job placement rates. In this video, we'll talk specifically about why academia is so unique and why career services is awesome, but can't give aspiring professors the specificity they need to be successful on the academic job market. Now, why is academia so unique, aka weird? Well, it's one of the few professions where you have to be both an entrepreneur and a team player all at the same time. What do I mean by that? If you're an academic, you're expected to have your own unique research agenda. That means you're writing papers in that area, you're getting grants, you're speaking at national conferences. For example, you might be someone who's working on the environmental impacts of AI. Other people might be working on the drivers of preterm birth. All of those things require resources, they require intellectual property, and you might even be expected to teach classes in that area. At the same time, departments might expect you to teach core classes, not just the things that you specialize in that you like. If you're an economist, you're probably expected to teach Econ 101. Or if you're a psychologist, same thing, teaching Psych 101. So again, you're expected to be both a leader in your field and do service and mentoring, serve on committees, perhaps be director of graduate studies. All of those things mean that you are a unique hybrid of entrepreneur and team player. What does this mean when it comes to career services? Well, career services is absolutely amazing. I want to be clear about that. But career services in general isn't focused on aspiring professors. They are focused on mostly undergrads. They make up the bulk of all of our research institutions and master's students, maybe. They are not simply focused on PhD students or postdocs who want to go into academia. And what this means is this focus on master's and undergrad students is that they are wanting those students who go to nonprofits. They want to focus on students who are going into industry, right? What does this look like? Holding job fairs where they match students to internships and jobs in the industry and nonprofit sectors. They might have workshops on resume writing, cover letters, and interview practice. For example, we all know the STAR method, the situation, task, action, result method, where you talk through problems with your supervisor. How did you handle that situation, etc. The problem is these approaches don't necessarily apply to people who want to be tenure faculty. For example, there aren't job fairs for tenure track faculty. In general, if you're a PhD student or postdoc who wants a job in academia, you will either go to a conference and interview there for an initial screening interview, or, as is more common nowadays, people are using Zoom or some other kind of remote conferencing software to have that initial screening interview. No job fairs, right? The language of academia is also very different. For example, cover letters and resumes don't look the same. We have something called a curriculum vitae, right? And instead of looking at roles and outcomes as you would on a CV, you're going to be focused on things like how many papers you wrote and where you wrote them, what kinds of grants you're writing, where you're presenting at conferences, a very different strategy. And then instead of just the cover letter, you'll often have a cover letter and a teaching statement where you're talking not just about your contributions, but your potential contributions and why you are the right entrepreneur, team player hybrid to fit within that department. And finally, the other big difference is that career services centers don't focus on the big differentiator between industry and academic jobs, which is a job talk. These are usually hour-long talks that really focus on your vision for how your research and your teaching and your service are going to fit in with the culture of that department. Academia is not a business, to be clear, but this is, in a weird way, kind of an investor pitch, right? The problem is, again, that career services doesn't have an infrastructure for teaching PhD students how to interview and how to give powerful job talks that position your PhD students to get job offers and therefore increase your job placement rates in academia. And I think there is a way that we can do that. And I want to show you how we can do that in the next video.